In all of NASCAR history, there has never been a driver to win in all three of the top levels of the sport. There have been drivers who've come close, getting two but never the trifecta. But one of the closest drivers to ever come to this mark was Greg Biffle. After winning a Truck and Busch Series title in 2000 and 2002 respectively, he was elevated to Cup in 2003. His rookie season was less than stellar, but was highlighted by a win in the 2003 Pepsi 400. Biffle took another step in 2004, scoring 2 wins, including a dominant win in the season finale at Homestead. And while the trend didn't continue in the 2005 Daytona 500, it did the following race.
3 guys fighting for the win.
Yeah, it's a 3-horse race. McMurray well back. Biffle and Busch to the bottom.
He drives it down into turn 1 and 2, but Kurt Busch in the 97 got a good bite off the corner there side by side for second.
Boy, you can see Kurt. He is trying out. He's driving as hard as he can go.
48's real good. Just protect the bottom down here. Protect the back.
Kurt Busch, Kurt's late wingman right there.
Basically, he's holding him up just enough that Greg's going to be able to get to the finish line here first.
Kurt Busch holds Jimmy Johnson at bay, and Greg Biffle is coming around to win in Montana, California.
Good job. Good job.
And over the following weeks, he would continue the hot start. Between the second race at California and the fifth at Bristol, the 16 Ford ran out front for 340 laps. This also placed him second in points, only 94 behind Jimmy Johnson. 2 races later, the 16 Ford only got better.
White flag, 1 to go.
He's going to be there when they get back around here. I can tell you that. He is cutting into that 42's lead. But that's the cat right
Still
there.
got plenty of room. Just give yourself plenty of room there to get you a good picture here. If you can get it off before. Give you some room on that 77.
I'd say that'd be the thing to do.
Greg Biffle's going to lead 219 laps. And for car owner Jack Roush, it's going to be 4 wins with 4 different drivers. Greg Biffle wins in Texas.
Biffle led 219 of 334 laps, utterly eviscerating the competition. The 8th race of the season proved to be the first setback of the year as Biffle suffered his only DNF of the season at Phoenix, overheating and coming home in 41st. But once again, Biffle would only turn around to dominate the field at Darlington. After 2 more finishes inside the top 10, it wasn't much of a surprise to see the Biff making another trip to victory lane at Dover.
White flag for Greg Biffle.
Those 2 tires are going to hang in there for Kyle Busch. Another good call in the pits.
Still got plenty of room, man.
Plenty of room. He's got a 4.6-second lead. That's like from here to Wilmington.
We just need to be 3 and 4 here. Don't get involved in any lap traffic.
Greg Biffle becomes the 27th different Nextel Cup driver to win at Dover.
And 2 weeks later, win number 5 flew as well at Michigan.
Biffle's hot.
16 is hot.
That baby is hot. Hot, hot, hot.
And Mark Martin is driving like a young man, not somebody in the twilight of his career, as the Busch brothers battle with Rusty Wallace for 9th.
You just 2, 3, and 4 here.
No longer a battle. Kyle Busch would drive by him in the 5 car.
Youth has served.
4 tires have served.
Mr. Feelgood came through that time.
Greg Biffle coming off turn 4. 5th win of the season. 8th win of his Nextel Cup career for Biffle. And Tony Stewart holds off Mark Martin for second by a 1/10 of a second.
Biffle was on fire, winning a third of the first 15 races. And even though he finished a mediocre 14th at Infineon, it was enough to overtake Jimmy Johnson as the points leader. The lead only lasted a week, though, as Biffle ran into trouble at Daytona 2 years after his first win.
Oh, look at that! Michael Wall trip spins, hits the 0-1 of Nemechek, then catches Biffle, the championship leader. Biffle has significant damage, and they're wrecking behind them, too. Morris said, smoking his tires.
A set of tires, yeah.
The crash started a midsummer tumble, which saw him only have 1 top 5 while having 5 other finishes outside the top 10. The lack of good finishes led to Biffle falling from having a 22-point lead to being over 100 points back in 3rd. And with 4 races left until the chase for the Nextel Cup, Biffle was a virtual lock for the top 10, but he had went from being the hottest driver in the sport to barely noticeable. But the 4 races had finishes no lower than 6th, which included 3 podium finishes. The return to form also put Biffle second in points in the second seed, 5 behind the leader. He started the chase strong, scoring a 4th at Loudon. Even so, he still dropped 15 points further behind leader Tony Stewart. But after 5 straight finishes of 6th or higher, Biffle's championship-level season once again was put in question. A middling 13th place in Dover pushed him back to 5th in points in the title race. But due to the faltering of other competitors, it only meant that he had a net loss of 3 points. But the true loss came the next race at Talladega Superspeedway. Damage from the crash put Biffle 98 points behind second place finisher and championship leader Tony Stewart. But Biffle wouldn't be held back for long. After finishing second to teammate Mark Martin at Kansas, a golden opportunity presented itself at Lowe's.
Alan, you got something on the 2?
Yeah, the air pressure gauge on the right rear tire, it was losing air.
Stewart.
Tony Stewart into the wall.
Cuts a right rear tire. He blew a right rear tire going into turn 3.
The championship leader has brought out the caution at Charlotte.
With Stewart down, Biffle created a huge gash into his lead. A third-place run put him 3rd in points, only 11 behind both Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. With 5 races left, winning the Cup was in the control of all 3 of the drivers' hands. Biffle needed to close out the season as hot as he started. And with the next race being at Martinsville, he was against the toughest competition in the sport. It proved to be too much, as the 16 Ford came home in 20th, and lost all of the ground they made up at Lowe's. Even a 7th place finish in Atlanta only put him 75 points within the lead. But again, it was for nothing, as once again he spun twice at Texas before going on to another 20th place finish. And with 2 races remaining, the destiny he had was now out of his hands. It was a disappointing way to be closing out such a great season. And the disappointment only continued, as even though Biffle led 189 laps at Phoenix, he could only watch the back of the 5 car as it crossed the finish line ahead of him. Dug in a hole of 102 points, Biffle had a long shot chance at the title, but realistically, it was over. All he could do now was go out, win, and hope for the best. And it resulted in one of the greatest wrap-ups to a season in NASCAR history.
Right beside him. Last lap of the season. Teammates Mark Martin and Greg Biffle fighting for the lead while Tony Stewart tries to hang on to his position to clinch the championship.
Oh, this is going to be good off of 2. This has been Biffle's sweet spot off the second corner.
Mark's there.
He's there.
And I think Mark's been better in 4.
Looks that way.
See if he can hold on.
He got me, bud.
Boy, Biffle drove in deep.
Will it stick?
Oh, he's sliding up the track. Out of 4, they come to the line. Wow. Greg Biffle wins the race.
The win was Biffle's 6th of the season. When it was all said and done, he wound up tied for 2nd in points with teammate Carl Edwards. 2005 would end up being Greg Biffle's greatest Cup season. He would never score more wins, top 5s, or top 10s again in his career, and he would never lead more laps in a season in his career. And it makes many wonder, what if Biffle hadn't been caught up in that wreck at Talladega? What if he had ran better in 20? What if he had ran better than 20th at Martinsville or Texas? What if, in 2005, Greg Biffle captured his missing ring?